Greetings, everyone. Hawksblood here, calling from the Big Island of Hawaii. All right, this is serious. This is based on my life. So please, if you know anybody, or even if you have it, 2 words, dyslexia or ADHD. How do you survive in a world that's so moving, on the run, trying to keep up with the Joneses, while you have a few other problems that kind of pull you back? I'm going to get into it. It's going to be a short video, but I hope you get something from it or understand something about people with it. Living with dyslexia and ADHD. When I was little, which was a long time ago, I was born in '52, they had no understanding of the 2 words. They didn't try to find them. They didn't understand them. They didn't look for them. So this is how my life went with those problems without help. First off, you'll be classified as the black sheep in the family. You being different, you'll be called the loner, the weird one, really without doing anything wrong. I mean, or what you would think would be wrong. But to other people and the way they look at you in school, it was a horrible thing for me. And I had no help. So how do you move forward with these things? I suggest go out to nature. Nature helps open your awareness, get you more in tune with things outside of the mind. And these problems are an effect inside the mind itself. Once you leave the body, they're not part of your problem anymore either. So when you're out in the woods, wilderness, lake, park, whatever, let your mind go, because you don't need it. Not in awareness of soul and trying to be within that. When you try to get a job and do the mundane things of living life, you need it. And then when it's not working right, it makes everything that much harder. All right. Pets help a real lot. I have a dog. I never had a dog all my life. I had almost every other kind of animal and creature in my life, but I never had a dog. And now I have a dog, and I think it's one of the most incredible beings in my life, who brings me so much joy, pain, and as well. But he's just an incredible giver. Dogs give love unconditionally, not like humans. And they don't expect anything in return. So there's ways to get things to pull you into different awareness other than the programmed ideas of what you have to do and things you got to do and all that. First off is understanding the condition. What are the boundaries? What are the rules? What are the effects of them? Well, I'm going to go into my life, and you'll be able to pull out how and what it affects in the way you think and act. So to understand the condition, I'm going to explain the effects, how I went through it, because there was no condition when I was little. It wasn't called anything. They affect your learning and your memory. Try to memorize something, you can't. The ability to learn things, well, it depends. On an outward way, yes. On an inward way, no. When it comes to math and things like that, all through grade school, I couldn't figure it out. Spelling, grammar, no clue. So it was hard for me in school. So here's the thing, numbers. With dyslexia, numbers are usually reversed, the same as words are. I mean, 90% of the time, if I write God, I'll write dog. 90% of the time when I write dog, I'll be writing God. Little words you can't remember, there, which there, and how to spell it. It's usually more simple things that get inverted, whatever, or all together. For me, I couldn't remember numbers. Like when it came to taking tests, numbers of dates and stuff, I never knew a date from another date. I mean, in tests, they always reverse numbers to try to see if you know what you're talking about. And it appears right to me. So yeah, I did really bad most of my time in the lower grades up until high school. It changed. It changed for a couple of years. Don't ask me why or how, it just did. And then it went back. But so now when you're dealing with numbers or names of people, I can't remember a name of a person. I can remember their face, the details. I could picture a person from when they're real little to when they're real old and still know the person, but I won't know their name. So here's the thing. When I was little, I couldn't say the alphabet. And my father put the alphabet around the TV. And he says, until you can repeat the alphabet, you're not going to watch TV. So I never watched TV for a year and sat there looking at an alphabet that I couldn't remember. So that's the simplest thing. And in my school, we learned by sight reading. So we never had to learn how to sound out words or anything like that. We had flashcards with words on them. And that's the way it went for me until third grade. So I never learned proper grammar in the way it should be, or how to understand grammar, which made my life even more hard. So focus on things is hard. For me, I couldn't remember a song. I couldn't remember anything like that. I remembered situations and things, but the wording and things like that, I didn't. So after a long time, I learned the alphabet. It took me a year and a half when I was little. My father was really a bad person in my life. Luckily, he left when I was 12, but I was being constantly abused by him. My brother was always the smart genius, and I was always the dumb one. So when you have a problem and people don't see it or understand it, you become a victim. You become the black sheep, you become the ghost, you become a lot of different things to people, and you're not accepted in a lot of ways. Luckily for me, my spiritual quest started changing when I was 6. My reality was changed completely. I'm not going to go into all those details. If you want, I can send you my first book for free, or my second book. My second book is my autobiography. But when I saw my first UFO, and I started coming up with my brother, when I saw all these things, when I started working with angels and deities, my life changed. But it was outside the brain, outside normal thinking of what we're supposed to think, how we're supposed to think. Board games did not make me think of anything important. I couldn't even relate to a board game. My cousin and my brother always were playing them, and I couldn't play with them because I didn't want to. My family used to play cards on Sundays. Had no desire to. It was like stupid to me. And the only thing I wanted to do was go outside and run around, be in nature, follow streams, run around mountains. Anything like that was more entertaining to me, more real than sitting there playing a board game, or even playing with little toy soldiers and things like that. I couldn't do it. My brother and my cousin both went to college, both have different degrees. My brother became a chemist, but we never talked most of our lives because he was in a different wave pattern than I ever was. He never understood me, and I didn't want to understand him. So in school, here's my breaking point. We had to read a book and write a review on it. So we only had a list of books we were allowed to read. So in my childhood, I didn't read many books. I read the ones when I had to read a book in school. I'm going to listen because they're all still kind of opening realities within my world when I read them. Fahrenheit 451 is about the future of the world and how it's going to be controlled. Call of the Wild. It was kind of how I felt about myself and the natural instincts. But I was always attracted to wolves. Then my second book after that was White Fang, another story about a wolf. Then, because everybody was reading it and said, oh, you got to read it, Valley of the Dolls, about a couple girls. One was a drug addict, they each had problems, and it was about that. But it was like okay in school to read it. So we read it. It was a really big book. Candy, the movie came out with Ringo Starr played the gardener in the movie, but it was a real dumb movie. But books later on, I didn't read much. I let books come and go. I didn't get impressed by them or want to read them. So now skipping past books, movies, TV, well, yes, that's all I had. That's all I could deal with that I could relate to at any level. But what I was into, and it's because of the conditioning, one of my favorite movies, I'll list them. Like, it would kind of started with my favorite Martian. All right. Robbie the Robot. I loved any movie with robots in them, like Lost in Space. My real favorite was The Day the Earth Stood Still. The first one, not the second one. The second one was so stupid. The Time Machine. The first one. And they made a movie out of it. I made a movie. And that was, oh, break. Oh, wait 6 seconds. Hello, I'm online. What? I'm online. I'm doing a show. Right. You know, being aware of somebody, always call them at the wrong time. That's how life is for most people around me. Anything I do, they'll be there to interrupt it. So I was into other things which impressed me, and I went out of my way to get Famous Monster Speaks, a magazine. It was $1 when I was little, and that was expensive. But my movies, favorite, Godzilla, Gorgo, Mothra. All right. Then I pulled into they were basically creatures from Japan, creatures from the United States, vampire movies, The Mummy, Frankenstein, things like that, Dracula. But they were all my favorites. I had nothing else. I mean, movies that I got pulled into, Mary Poppins when I was real little, The Flying Nun, Cochise, The Long Ranger, and obviously most people liked Superman when they were little. But I could never watch any cowboy movie. It hated me. It would make me cry a lot of times. I didn't know why at that time. So being in a state of I can't even say the letters without looking at them, but not aware of the pressures that I'm putting myself under and the speed and accuracy of how I go about doing things. It was hard. So when I tried to get involved with science, I got into it, but I was always by myself. I never had help. I did a science fair project, I guess, from 3rd grade all the way into 2nd year of high school. But most kids have their father to help them, or their mother, whatever, or both. I had nobody. So everything I did was myself. But I always won in my high school and my grammar school, mostly grammar school. I always won 1st place by myself without any help. When I went to the college, when everybody wins from the schools and then they put them all together, I won honorable mention twice. After 3rd place, I came in. So I was 1 shot away from 1, 2, 3, which was a prize. And in those times, they gave children a cruise on an army ship and all kinds of outrageous things. 1st place, 2nd place, and 3rd place. Honorable mention, I got a kit from AT&T, wires and bells and all kinds of stuff. But, you know, I was doing things by myself. I made a voltmeter when I was in 3rd grade. I made my robot when I was in 7th grade, and they told me I didn't win the 1st place in the grand place because he didn't walk. He did everything else, but he didn't walk. I assumed I was going to use it like for a front of a house for a protector and everything. But I was against the top people in the United States, and one person invented the moon probe. The other one invented laser photography, because his father was NASA. And the other one invented this giant 6-foot robot. That was a real robot that they used. And when I was little, it was like Robbie the Robot. So I was competing against top-notch scientists in a lot of ways. But I was there. I was able to get pretty close to it by myself. Everything I experienced, everything I did in my life when I became a witch, which I'll get into, and a couple other things, it was by myself. I didn't have people guiding me, people telling me. Because for me, I got into hypnosis at 12. I met Kreskin. He was the most famous hypnotist, mind reader at the time. And I met him a couple times, and then I started doing hypnosis without any more teaching. At 14, I had all my friends in my neighborhood hypnotized by certain words. I could put each one out with a certain word. And I could tell them to do anything, and they did. So were they faking it? I doubt it, because a couple of them later on said, take the spell off. They said, I'm not going to come out until you take the spell off. And they called it a spell. At 17, I kind of started doing group hypnosis. I thought about going professional doing that. And then I said, do I really want to do that? Then I went into past life regression, and it wasn't a word invented by people. I invented it myself. A person that died, not Barbara Marx Hubbard, I can't think of the name, but she said she invented it many years later. But no, I was doing it. I made cards and everything. I didn't go into it full swing. I did it here and there. Worked on my friends, brought them back in past lives and things like that. Then I went into psychic implant removals in my own consciousness, because I was working with UFO people, and I had friends that were abducted and proved it. And I'm not going to go into the details about it, but actual proof that they were abducted and lost their child at 8.5 months pregnant. And the hospital was totally blown away. They had sonograms and everything of the child. So yeah, I had proof and things. I believed everything that I experienced. I believed it because I always found proof of it. So it wasn't my mental problems, mind problems, that stopped me or helped me attain it. I mean, I was considered crazy for a while, especially when I started dealing with UFOs and at a higher level. But, you know, it's not about your mind. And more religions and paths say it's your mind and the oneness, the consciousness. When you leave your body, which I'll say is the most important thing you can learn in this physical reality, you'll understand the difference. Because your mind stays there in that body when you leave it. You don't take it with you. You're aware of everything the mind knows, and you're aware of 10 times more or 1,000 times more than whatever that was. So when I got into psychic implant removals, I was doing it with people that had no clue what was going on, and neither did I. I started doing things without any awareness of why or how. But I did become aware of my past lives, all the way back to Atlantis. I became aware of all the psychic abilities. I was able to use 30 of them. There's 32. 2 of them I never, even though they're the ones I wanted to use, I couldn't. I guess when you put your certain attention on things, they come to you if they're right, and they don't if they're wrong. But I was empathic. It means being able to see, sense, and feel other people's thoughts. And I'm talking about 1.5 years straight. And it was hard living life. Not only going with the problems I had, deal with everybody else's. Being able to feel somebody and look at them and hear what they say in their mind. And no, I didn't make it up. People say, oh, you're just making it all up. No, I didn't. You know how? Because I challenged one person a day. If I was next to 10 people and I knew what each one was thinking, one of them I'll always say, why are you thinking about that? And they'll say, what? Why would you want to do this? And they'll say, well, how do you know? What are you talking? And it would freak them out. And I did that every day that I actually met people and started seeing what they were thinking, and feeling it and knowing it to detail. So psychic abilities, which I learned when I was a witch. I say witch, I don't like Wicca. Warlock. A witch is a witch. But when I learned all those abilities while I was in that, I learned that they cannot be used in this world, in this reality, in this time frame. If anybody was psychic, even to about 80%, nobody's ever 100%, but even if they ever got to 80%, they can go into any casino and win and take all their money and leave the casino broke. And they can go into every casino and win every casino, and change reality, is all I'm saying. And if a plane was going to crash, they would stand on the airport screaming and saying, I'm warning you and I'm telling you, which people don't do. Psychics do not get involved with really trying to change anything. So why get a gift if you're not going to use it? It's like saying, well, I'm going to give you all this food, but you can't eat it. Like the story of Adam and Eve. Here's all these fruit trees, but you can't eat that one because one's the tree of knowledge and one's the tree of wisdom, and they ended up getting both. But see, stories are lies. 90% of the Bible is twisted lies. The stories are twisted from false truth. Mankind didn't come from Adam and Eve. That would have been one race. We wouldn't be. We have 4 different colored races here now. They're all mixing together now, but they weren't mixed when they started. If they came from one race, it would be one race still. Oh, you don't metamorphose into a red person or a green person or a blue person. You stay white, you stay black, you stay red, you stay yellow. Period. The ignorance of science, the ignorance of people that believe science is incredible. You know, I would challenge and debate anybody mainstream on truth. Well, their truth is limited to the ego and to physical reality and physical reactions. Well, there's no physical reaction that takes soul and put it into a higher world. That's a psychic spiritual reaction. You can't take two chemicals and mix them together to make your soul become a higher being. All those kind of realities do not exist in science or in this physical reality, which everybody is living in, which I always had a hard time. I mean, I had problems that made me relate to it, understand it, or deal with it. So over the years, all my friends were smoking and drinking, and I couldn't. I didn't. I mean, I got high for a couple times in a year at one time when I was 16, but it meant losing control of your body. And I said to myself, why would I ever want to do that? To be free, to be relaxed. People escape from it all the time. They drink every day, every week, and do drugs and do everything they can. Sex helps it for a short period of time. Love is different than sex. So if people have sex, they're just trying to eliminate problems and having a cheap thrill. And cheap thrills is what it keeps mankind in general here. The cheap thrills equal toys they play with. Helicopters, planes, jets, rockets, cars, super fast cars, jumping out of planes, jumping off of bridges, all those kind of things. It's called cheap thrill. And why? Because it brings you close to death. And they don't know why. They're afraid of death, but they don't want to know about it. For me, I say luckily I had 5 death experiences, and they were all more incredible than each one before it. I spent over 40 years leaving my body, getting out of the astral plane and going into the higher realms, which are only important, not compared to the astral plane, which is not important. No matter who tells you, well, I go to the inner dimensions, it's all baloney. It's not important to God. It's not important to spirit. It's only important to ego. The astral plane is very similar to Earth, except you can't kill people. You don't have to eat. There's a lot of different rules that change. But it's still similar because you're still male and female. You still can do certain things and all that. But it's no, you're not having children. You're not doing those things there. And you're not sitting at a table talking to your family about the future forever. I mean, that would be the most ridiculous place to put yourself if you really believe that. So, I'm trying to get all this in this short talk, but please, this is coming from my experience, which is 66 years. I had 5 death experiences. I spent half of that time at night and mornings traveling out of my body. I met with deities, 3 different deities. I met with a couple angels. I met my spirit guides. And you all have a place in your reality if you ever want to find it or use it or work with it. And most people don't ever. The same as past lives are critical to learning. Because when you die, you're going to die with only the awareness of the moment. And then when you come back, you lose the awareness of that moment even. Luckily, some people's karma is okay for them to bring awareness of their past life into their reality when they come back, which is opening the eyes of people that don't even believe that it's real. So you can believe what you want, and you could stay here forever. I'm not here to help people get out of here if they don't want to. I'm only here to help people that want to leave this lower realm and find out the truth about who Jesus really was. And he wasn't God, never was. Nobody was God except God. Deities I call little gods, because in all these different realms that Jesus talked about, he was the only one that talked about a real God. About these different worlds that you go to, there's different gods, little gods that protect them. If every idiot went into the 3rd, 4th world, it would be just as bad as planet Earth is. So there are, just in college or high school, there's somebody that watches the grades, the teacher, the principal. They watch how are the systems running and make sure it's running right. You don't let children in kindergarten go to college until people are ready. Do they move forward? If you're not ready to let go of passions, the 5 passions of the mind, lust, greed, anger, vanity, and attachment, and I call them drugs, drinking, partying, cheap thrills, and sex. All right. They keep mankind here because that's what gives man satisfaction. Nothing else does. Sure, you can look at the ocean, you can look at trees, you can look at whatever you want. But where's your satisfaction really? Men think about sex more than anything on a daily basis. Everything relates to sex to them. That's why every commercial, every show has to have forms of sex in it at every part of it. If you don't realize you're completely programmed by your mother, by your father, by your friends, by your religion, and everybody else you meet in your life. If you go to these UFO conferences, you're being more programmed into lies. You go to listen to these people. Experiences talk about their experience of being with aliens. An experience means you have a good experience, and it usually happens in your house, and they take you and all this. Abduction, they take you out of your house and they put you on a ship. Big difference. Not really, because experiences are usually delusional. And I hate to say that. They're dreaming, they come out of an experience, and they believe it's real. Or they've been abducted, and they were programmed to believe the experience that they're talking about. No alien race is going to explain their technology. Not to the average person, or not to the average government person even. Tesla was one of the few people in all of history in the world that was given so much information. But that information slowly destroying the planet. Tesla created 200 inventions. 50 of them the United States government took. And the number one worst weapon on the planet, called the HARP system, was created by Tesla. Time travel, created by Tesla. Quantum physics, created by Tesla. All right. Now, mankind does use things always in the wrong way. I don't think they know what the right way is. If they did, this world would be a better place. Relationships are deteriorating. Why? If we're understanding love at any level, why would you leave a relationship? Well, they outgrew. You outgrew love. You outgrew truth. The truth is you never loved that person to begin with. You loved something about the person. You love having sex with them. You love going to movies with them, but you didn't love them as soul. Now, soul connections, soulmate and all them, are a little bit different, but they're not really the same, and they're not real either. Two people, we're soulmates and we have to stay together. You could believe that, but when you die, you both separate anyway. So there's a lot of lies to everything you believe in. And when you have a problem like me and trying to write, I have to write, I have to talk. I wrote 4 books. I'm on my 5th book. It's coming out, a UFO file on how to see UFOs. So I'm out there mainstream doing something that I really have a super hard problem doing. I mean, I get it edited 3 times and it still needs to be edited if I really want it right, because people can't understand where I'm coming from. And when you attain a different level of awareness, you don't think like normal people. So compounded by what I already had with problems with relating to people, understanding them, I added a new reality, awareness, meaning this world is hell. It's no more anything closer to heaven than we could make our own mind believe it is. So here's the thing. You want to believe all these UFO speakers. They don't tell you anything important. No alien race is going to come here and explain anything about a real God to you. They'll explain their programmed ideas as well. So who created man? Not the Anunnaki. You want to believe that story? Believe Zachariah Sitchin? I would love to tell you and things about him right now, where he is, what he's doing, but that's his karma, and he's dealing with it. That's all I'll say about it. When you lie, when you create false stories, when you do a lot of things, it stays with you, becomes part of your karma, and nobody can take it away. Jesus didn't come around and take away people's karma. All right. He came for people that were ready to move on. And he didn't come around for people with religion either. He said, he who have no faith, follow me. Not everybody with faith follow me. No, because they're already brain dead, programmed. Look at the people. Look at the religions around Jesus when he was alive. He didn't come here to create a religion. And man said, oh, he created a religion. Oh, he is God. He never said it. One word in the Bible says, I am God. In a certain way, but he meant it totally different, and he said it totally different. I'm aware of my lifetimes, including being alive with him. Whether you want to accept that or not, that's your choice, but it's my truth. And I'll tell you exactly what went down, what he was teaching, and what was not put in the Bible. Nothing that he was teaching. So how much of this you want to believe? That's your choice. Probably nothing, but that's okay. If you take one thing I said as important or try to understand it, it might help you. Not about my movies, but what do you like? Where's your interest? What do you have been following all your life? Where do you go from here? I mean, a famous speaker, I'm not going to say his name, said, find your superpower. Your superpower is what you truly like and believe and accept as your primary source of living life. And when you turn that into a job, it becomes your superpower. Real easy. So, and then another one's talking about dreams, like super dreams. Okay, how do I create a supervision and things? Creating it doesn't make it happen. Believing in it doesn't make it happen. Doing the work to create what you want is what you do in this physical reality. But you can't make yourself leave your body unless you try committing suicide, which I did. Try. There's many things you've got to do and work with, but that's your choice. All right. I tried to get through a lot of things, but I want to just tell you, we have problems in our life, and very few people have the ability to really help you through it. And if you think drugs and medicine is going to help you, it covers the problem up and hides you from it. I've been there, I've done it. Nothing will help you unless you get out of your body and experience yourself as soul, because then it's no longer affected by the sick thoughts and programs that are inside the mind. Aliens won't teach you that. Spiritual people claiming to be spiritual will not teach you that. Very few people have an awareness of what the truth really is in the first place. And then I'll say, ask somebody what spiritual means. Anybody you meet, and you're going to talk to them and listen to them, ask them, say first, what does spiritual mean? And listen to their concept of what that means to them. It has nothing to do with God. Understanding God, how many people want to understand what God really is, not what the program God? God is not a loving, compassionate being to souls in the physical world. The physical world is hell. And we're here because we don't know anything. We're unaware. We're ignorant. We're all those words. That's why we kill, murder, rape, and abuse, and all those things. In the higher realms, that does not exist. So where would you place your attention? I use the scenario of an ant colony. You want to teach an ant colony how to build a castle? Go right ahead. You want to teach bees how to build a submarine? Go right ahead and try. Spend infinity trying. So, you know, and you have to realize God is a lot more than you even perceive it to be. And it's not sitting there worrying about what you're going to do next. You're here to learn how to become that as a soul being. Give me one split second to let my little guy out. Wanna go? Sorry about that. So, please, listen to what I'm saying. You don't have to believe it, but try to understand it. I was always abused by my father. All the time, every time, anytime. Luckily, he stepped out of our life. I didn't find out who I was as even being Native until my mother almost died. Right before she died, she told me. I told you about the TV. I couldn't watch TV for 2 years. The sexual abuse was coming in all the time by family, friends, strangers, karma, for one, but how it affected me was really critical. I'm not going to go into all that. Read my book. I'll send it to you for free. Hawksblood1AOL.com. Hawks, plural, blood, as in the blood in your body, number 1, AOL.com. If you're interested in my first book is How to See God. My second book is When Truth is Called Crazy. My third book is Truth Beyond the Illusion. My fourth book is the most important, The True Teachings of Jesus from God Realization. And my PDF file, which is How to See a UFO. And if you follow it, you'll see a UFO if that's what you want. So at 17, I lost about 20 of my best friends, died. And most of them were doing drugs and everything else and drinking. I dropped out of school, got my diploma 2 years later. I worked from the time I was 16 all the way till now. Not now, maybe 10 years ago when I retired. So here's the thing. Are you in a relationship? Do you want to make it work? A relationship requires 100% giving from both parties. If you're going to give 100%, you're going to get used. If she's not, or he's not going to give 100% back, you're not going to work or survive forever. My first relationship lasted 9 years. My second relationship lasted 20. And I had 2 millionaire girlfriends that lasted about a year and a half. But I learned so much. I learned the true reason why I came here. Again, I didn't have to. Most people have to. But I had to work something out. I mean, and I'm not going to go into that. That's a whole different story. But I was dealing with psychic abilities. And when you see what can change or what can happen, it gets scary. You can't do things and say, well, this is the right thing. You don't know what the right thing is. And then if you say, well, that's what God wants, you don't know what God wants. You don't even know why God put you here yet. And that's one of the things you have to learn, or you'll never get away from it. My mother blocked many of my relationships from happening when I was young. I wasn't allowed to leave the house to go far away from it. I was pretty much under control of my mother. I mean, I really loved her, but she was really abusive in a lot of ways. I never went against the laws that I thought were real. Like, I never cut school. I cut school one time. There was a lot of reasons why I had to, but I was so afraid that my father would beat me up if he found out, which he probably would have. So, I mean, I can go on. My life changed dramatically from 6 to 12. I became aware being, understanding the inner workings of spirit. There is a real God. There's really angels, there's really deities, and there's real demons. So at that point, it's not about just getting a job, having children, getting a better job and better house, which most people think reality is, or exploring the world and seeing things. Seeing things? How many times can you see a building or a tree or an ocean? How much does it really change? Oh, it's rough today. Oh, it's so calm today. Oh, it's so warm today. Oh, it's so cold today. Really? And they say, don't talk about religion. Don't talk about politics. The only two things that matter what's going to happen to you in your life, you shouldn't talk about them. Is that programming? And that's programming from your family and your friends. Oh, you're going to get into a fight. Why? Because something's wrong. Something's not right. So being who I am and what I went through, I became aware of just about everything you possibly can in this physical reality. Why aliens are here, what they're doing, what they're going to do, what's going to happen to the human race. Robots are going to take over. You have to understand or know that. If you don't, you're brain dead. All right. I learned my role in life. I'm serving the time. It's almost over. And I'm happy in a lot of ways that I'll be going to where I know I'm going to be going. But the problem is ego. Man has always had an ego. And it has never changed. And sadly, it's growing bigger with money attached to it. So the rich people, like Jesus said, it's easier for a camel to go through an eye of a needle than a rich person to go into heaven, will be here for a long time, meaning lifetime after lifetime, thinking about money. This world is filled with lies. Lies, lies, and more lies. And there's more people coming. There's 350,000 come in Delhi, and there's 150,000 leaving Delhi. So there's more coming in every day. And where are they coming from? Take a wild guess. A lot of alien races are reincarnating into the physical reality. And that's why you hear, oh, I'm a walk-in. No, but you were an alien, and a lot of people were. Especially ones that are coming in now. Why do they think different? Why do they act different? Why are things so uncouth or bad or whatever words? Why people are more infatuated with like getting off the planet, traveling through space, which isn't going to help many people. Or waiting for aliens to come here to help us. What? Figure out who you are? If you don't know, nobody else is going to tell you who you are. Oh, you're my zombie. I can do what I want with you now. Working hard in your life means working to find who you are as soul, not getting the most highest paid job, working your butt off to pay for your rent, your house, your car, and your 10 children. All right. It's a lot easier than that. You don't need to get married. You don't need to be in a relationship. But you do need to be trying to become aware of who and what you are as soul. I'm not saying those things won't come to you no matter how hard you don't want it. But Be open to anything that comes, but be aware of what it is. Where is it coming from? And there's no good and bad. Yes, there are. There always is. You don't get out of the lower realm, hell and the astral plane, earth and the physical and the astral plane, until you work that out. You will never, no matter what race you deal with, no matter who you talk to, no matter what psychic you go to, no matter whatever you do, you're not going to get out until you work that out. And it takes lifetimes. Kill somebody, you'll be here for a few more lifetimes. Join the army and kill people. Why? Because somebody told you to? Are you still that brain dead? See, when people ran up to Canada, at least they made the decision to let them back into the United States. Nobody should be forced to kill another person. Well, your freedom. Well, Jesus said, turn your cheek. I don't think people understood what he meant anyway when he said it. But when you kill somebody, it's destroying the future of a reality, of families that can't come anymore. People don't want to deal with that. The way the Christians and the Spanish, the British, came into the United States and slaughtered the native people. They slaughtered the Quakers. I mean, they killed all the witches off, as many as they could. There wasn't that many killed in Jersey where I live, but there were. So where do you want to go? Who do you want to say you're part of? You're part of that race? The good race? The good race that came into the United States? And now we're saying, oh, we should let other people in? The native people didn't want us in. Not us, but part native, but a lot of these other people coming in. They knew what was going to happen. The Hopi people were the only true native nation in the United States that originally were here. They didn't come from somewhere else. And now the Mayans have been trying to say, well, they brought the Hopi people to here. No, they didn't. The Hopi people have a different DNA than any other race on this planet. So put that in your pipe. And they didn't come from the black race. Can't even go there, even try to go there. So are you ready for truth? You want the real truth? You want more lies? Listen to aliens. Look what they gave us. What did they give us in 100 years? Anything important? Did we become spiritual at any level? Did we learn anything spiritual about living life? No. And that should be a wake-up call. You're in the wrong place. Hell is a place to get out of, not a place you're going to go into if you're bad. You're already bad. Now get good and get out. There's a big difference. But if you can accept that, you might want to leave to get into the higher worlds where God creates the things that we desire, that we feel are the ultimate desires that we should want. Compassion, love, and freedom. But in this reality, freedom only comes with one word: responsibility. You have to be responsible for every action you create. You have to be responsible for who and what you do to other people. But if you're not learning the truth. You're not learning awareness. So with that, I hope you got something out of today. Hawksblood1, HAWKSBLOOD1, AOL.com. Tell any person out there that thinks they have the truth, I will challenge them. I will debate them on God. If you think you talk to God, you think you talk to Moses, whoever you think you talk to, think you talk to Gabriel. Really? What did you learn? A pathetic idea of a religion or a truth? Please, I'm hardcore. I'm probably one of the most hardcore people on the planet. I had 5 death experiences and I came back. So yeah, I'm not afraid of anything. I was a high priest. I was a witch for maybe 4 years. I dealt with the high priest of the mob and different things. I'm not afraid of that stuff. The only thing I'm afraid of is the government's going to take everybody's money away and it's just going to cause mass chaos. And then people will be put in place where they need to be because they're not really ready to learn or fight for their own truth. Jesus said, if the laws are unjust, you change them. But what the laws are, you have to live by them until you change them. So if women don't want to boycott and change the laws on people that rape and abuse, it'll stay the same. Luckily, 13 women after Bill Cosby got involved with changing the laws in states that they don't have to remember it within 2 years. If they remember 10 years later they were raped, they can still go to court on it. Which is happening now. Oh, they're just making it up. I just feel, and this is the truth, you can believe it or not, but it is the truth. Not many women make up stories like that unless they have been abused. But in general, women that come out with those stories have been abused by the person that they're going after, and they became aware of it. They don't need to make up a story about somebody else to say that they abused them for no reason. And it's not about money, not for these people. Rape is for life. A person that's abused never forgets it, will never get over it, will always have that lack of trust for the sex of party, whatever attacked or abused them. So, I mean, I have no respect for my father, but I have the most respect for my grandfather, who was the most, he was my idol. He was the only one I could consider an idol because I respected him more than anybody else by his actions, what he did, the way he supported my grandmother, my mother, and everybody else. So people say, pick a football player, a basketball player, millionaires that don't care about anything other than sports. Sports isn't going to help us move forward spiritually at any level. With that, I'm going to cut it. All right. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in if you did tune in. All right. Till next time, Tommy Hawksblood here. Peace, love, compassion, whatever you want, whatever you think you need in your life. Hope you get it. And hope it's good. Till next time.